I'm Nick Moore, and this is the Kramer VS-62HA 6x2 HDMI matrix switcher with audio. So the VS-62HA is the ideal product to solve issues where there are dual screens in a meeting room or boardroom and plenty of HDMI sources. Now let's have a look at the front of the VS-62HA. Here are the controls to select the inputs, 6 of them, for each one of the outputs. So we've got output 1 and output 2. We have the ability to switch off each output individually. We have a panel lock button, which allows us to prevent any of these buttons being pushed and making a change. We have the EDID button, which is very important whilst we're capturing the EDID from the outputs and loading them onto the inputs. And we have the ability to send a test pattern to each one of the outputs. The next section concerns the audio. The analog button that's labelled here really allows us to control whether we're in audio follow video mode, whether we have the analog audio selected from any one of the other inputs as a breakaway, or the HDMI audio selected. Then we have volume up, volume down, and audio mute. And that's the same for both output 1 and output 2. The final button is the swap, and that allows us to switch the input that is on output 2 to the input that is on output 1 and vice versa. Now let's have a look at the back of the unit. Here we have the 6 HDMI inputs and the 2 HDMI outputs, the analog audio inputs and the analog audio outputs. Next we come to 2 rows of Phoenix blocks, one that allows you to connect LEDs to indicate the status of the unit, and another that allows you to control via contact closures. Over here we have an external IR port, the RS-232 port and the Ethernet port, and finally the power socket and on-off switch. So take a meeting room with 2 displays, a VC system which is here represented by the VIA collage, a few connection points in the table, and maybe a set-top box for television. How are these displays and the wireless devices to be connected together to give the user a satisfying experience? How are 2 sources to be fed, for example, into the data input of the VC system and to the separate display, or just in general to 2 separate displays? The answer is, of course, to use a matrix switcher, and in this case we're using the VS-62HA. Although the exact switch time is dependent on the ability of the screens to sync up, you can figure on 2 to 3 seconds for a normal switch time. So here we have the DIP 30, which in a normal boardroom application would either be mounted under the table or in the table, as the DIP 20, which we've just seen, is. What we're showing here, however, is that the DIP 30, in use with the VS-62HA, has an extra trick up its sleeve. And we can press the step-in button, and the switcher will switch both outputs to the input that is connected to the DIP 30. So the VS-62HA is the ideal product to solve issues where there are dual screens in a meeting room or boardroom and plenty of HDMI sources. For more information, visit us at our website. Thank you for watching.